my side.
We're full in now.
All right.
Yeah.
Brice, I think you should buy one of these for me.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Can I put a big trade pending sticker right on the side?
Sure, whatever. Free advertisement. Well, not free if you're going to buy it for me, but
True.
That's
I want
right.
this one
Catch
right
all those
here.
dealers on the river.
There's a lot of dealerships on the river.
Yeah.
It's $3,200. I bet you could catch it on sale for me.
You got to show it to me.
Let's send it to you.
All right. I'll come up and kayak with you. We'll skip around. Alex, what are they catching up in your area these days? What do you get? You have walleye up there?
Oh, it's all freshwater.
Yeah.
So
Freshwater.
yeah, I'm more in tune with the ocean species than the freshwater species.
All right. Yeah. Little oceanic varietals.
Yeah, all I know is you don't float as well on it.
I watched for the first time this year the Marlin tournament based out of Morehead City, North Carolina. And it was like insanely entertaining. Michael Jordan brought out his 80-foot Viking sport fishing yacht, caught a marlin, brought it in, 450 pounds. But it was like a 6-day affair that they had a full production on this marlin fishing tournament. It was the best sporting event I've seen in 3 months. Only sporting event.
It's the DealerRefresh kayaking and fishing show.
It's kayak refresh now, guys. Yeah. So.
Brice, always good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us today.
Dude, it's been too long. I appreciate you guys inviting me on.
You got it.
Yeah.
What's new in the trade-in world?
Haircuts?
What's not new?
Huh?
What's not new? No, it's been a pretty interesting second quarter, and we're still kind of tallying all the interesting stats, that we've seen. But dealers need trades now more than ever. I mean, that's the easiest summary. And we tried to connect with a lot of customers, make sure we were optimized on their websites, gave some tips and tricks on getting as many trade leads on. And technically we blogged, as every vendor was blogging, about some kind of interesting fact. And let's see if I mess this up. You see my screen?
We see your Skype face.
Now.
So we released a new website, by the way. Check that out, Jeff. You'll love it.
It's about time.
Dude, it was terrible for many years.
I don't know if that explains it.
Well, so anywho, the pre-COVID versus post-COVID, which we continue to measure, increase in trade-in leads was unbelievably stark. So, that's one incredible trend that all of our customers have. And frankly, they quickly realize that they've got to get their trade-in game and trade-in lead game spot on as soon as possible. What did I do here? Get back here.
Yeah, were you trying to share your screen?
Yeah, did I do that?
You killed your camera.
Yeah. Now I'm back. How about that?
There you are. All right.
I can do this. So, throughout COVID, we also helped a lot of dealers out with our new merchandising solution, Superlatives, which has been a huge, huge hit. And I can go into kind of the strategy behind that, I think, which is really beneficial for dealers. And a lot of people do look at us just like you, Jeff. We're the trade-in tool. We're in the market now 6 years, which is crazy for me to think.
I know.
And created a very kind of unique trade tool. We created our own valuation methodology, which throughout second quarter, if you looked at used car values, how tumultuous was that? We made adjustments as we saw the market in literally real time. And our valuation methodology was supported by some other industry experts as the only way to do it throughout that time. So it was nice to hear a vote of confidence from
What were what type of adjustments were you having to make?
Well, so our valuation methodology is the only one that's zip code centric with a radius. And so as you saw pockets, have more and more pressure for dealership closings and things like that, it was critical to recognize what the retail market was doing right around your dealership, say within 50 or 100 miles. So we didn't have to adjust much, but what we did adjust, was looking, at the current and newly updated inventory, and really trying to utilize those price points, those data points, more than not updated inventory or older listings. So think about it, right? If you're in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh, if you had some comparable inventory in Ohio, well, Ohio was shut down. There was nobody updating prices, right? But I'm in Pittsburgh, and I'm taking some advice from some other people that say just lower your price, get rid of all your inventory, reset it in 2 months. And so we are also the only methodology that can be adjusted dealer by dealer. And so as requests came in, we tried to understand what's going on in your market. Burlington was different than Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and we were trying to apply those adjustments, as quickly as we could.
Yeah, we were actually going back and marking some of our inventory up in price,
which then adjusts via our methodology. That's the same basis that we're looking at. What fair value is going to be on a trade, even though gross has gone up quite a bit in the last month or two. But I think that's because dealerships are spending more time in a better process. And by the way, throughout the vendor giveaway period, think about this, right? So what did all vendors do in second quarter? You tried to approach your customers, you tried to help them. If they could, benefit from a feature or product or things like that, you gave it away. And by my count, we power, 10, 12 different digital retailing tools with our values. That's the Snap API. So same values, same Snap experience, same quick and access to information sharing. We saw a huge surge in provision digital retailing tools. Now, a lot of that's from a free period,
But yeah, we're all curious what's going to happen here within the next 2 months.
I'll tell you some data. No, we've got a nice front seat with that. We really like our partners in the digital retailing world, and I think they like their customers, like the values, they like the control they can have, and that's the same values that you can use in your digital retailing tool. It can be used in the store. Same value that's going to be used in your trade-in tool for those people that may not want to be digital retailed. They just want to get a quick idea of what their trade's worth. So that consistency, I think, has played out really, really well for us and our customers over the last 2-3 months.
And you also recently launched a new API for your API partners. We are one of them, so I know this. Where if the dealer had TradePending as a trade-in tool scattered throughout the website, now the same rules that apply to that tool apply within the digital retailing tool as well. So you've got consistency of the numbers now.
Yep. We're on version 4 of that API, and it's actually really nice when you hear developers compliment your developers just on structuring the API for turnkey, which I think thank you for the compliments.
That was all Jack.
Well, yeah, he's a smart guy.
If he gives you a compliment, yeah, he's smart.
The developers like other developers compliments for sure, but we've continued to put time and effort into making sure our APIs working well, and we've got more to come actually to go this year.
You guys, you had mentioned you saw a 30 to 40% increase in trade leads during this COVID era. Were you able to break that down by how many of those leads, or were you able to see an increase in leads with the ones that are where your tool was integrated into digital retailing?
We haven't broken it down, but it's different by tool. So we do have expertise. We can work with clients and give them opinion on given your DR selection, your digital retailing tool selection, how can you optimize what it is you're trying to achieve. So some dealers, they want to funnel every single action that a consumer takes directly through the DR tool. And I understand that objective, and we can meet that objective, and then we really need to make sure we're dialing in values. I think that could come at a cost of overall lead, but that may not be every dealer's objective. Most dealers we have, are looking for, complementing, what they already have, on their website, and not necessarily having a DR tool take over every call to action. And for those folks, they see, DR tools will pencil out on their own. They will. They should, right? This is not to substitute everything that you've ever done as a dealer, in our opinion. Snap, our trade-in tool, will pencil out on its own. Superlatives will bring value on its own. Otherwise, guess what you do as a dealer? You cancel it. So.
Yeah.
But we, everyone's strategy is a little different, and as you well know, Jeff, every DR tools takes a little bit of a different angle at how they deploy on the website, what they do to train and store process and marry that. So there's no single answer there, really.
Yeah, we've had plenty of discussions around that past several weeks.
Heard.
Well, how about a little shift on the technologies? Question from Chris Leslie. Does Brice know when a trade lead comes through one source, it doesn't parse the trade information into the CRM?
Yes, we do. And it depends on the CRM. I think we had like a teaser that we were going to talk some CRM stuff. It's a long problem. So I don't really know how to, I think it was a simple question, so I can say, yes, I'm aware of that. And we've actually, tried through major group partners to, influence CRM companies to make some updates and adjustments. But we're not the biggest company, obviously, but we've really failed in trying to influence that. I think the greater vendor community and certainly the dealer community needs to, put a little bit more pressure, because it is a one, additional step that has to be, taken oftentimes.
Yeah, if everything integrates to a CRM through an ADF, you're obviously quite limited, and then you're also limited to what that support person on the other end of the ADF at the CRM company has actually programmed up. So one dealership might have a better view into a certain source of ADF than another, utilizing the exact same CRM. And a lot of the time, it really just comes down to how good your support rep is over there, which is kind of scary.
Well, I think the problem is even bigger than what Chris was just describing, which is, for us, our whole mission is trying to create information between consumer and dealer, to marry those folks together. And the better information we present, the better opportunity dealers have to connect with the consumer, get the consumer down the funnel, ultimately sell a car, buy a trade, right? So if I'm restricted to only the fields that an ADF accepts, all of us vendors, then, use the notes field to do as much as we can. And usually that includes a link to find more information, with the customer. So with our trade leads, any of our customers know, if you look at a report, which we put into the notes field, here's the report the consumer just saw. You can see the exact mileage of that customer, how their mileage compares to other vehicles, how many of those other cars are within X many miles of the dealership, how fast they sell. So they can piece together these talk tracks. And then we're marrying that with our superlatives product, which is all about merchandising and having, comparable views of the vehicles you're trying to sell. We call it trade superlatives, but we want to bring more market information to load the lips of the BDC rep. So when they make that first call, it's not just, hey, when can you get in here? What are you looking to buy? It is, hey, tell me more about that Camry. It happens to be only one of 20 within 50 miles. They're moving very quickly. Yours has 10,000 miles fewer. That's why I've got to own it one day, no matter if you sell it to me or trade. But more information, better, and the CRM get in our way as dealers and vendors in sharing information.
Well, this sort of goes in my next question was, have you seen dealerships improve the way they handle the trade-in leads?
Yeah.
I know a lot of dealerships still struggle for whatever reason. A lot of times, like you said, the CRM gets in the way. Lead comes in. They don't look at the fact that it's a trade lead, or they've got autoresponders set up for, the trade lead, just like the exact same autoresponder you have for every other lead, which I think can quickly turn the customer off, because now you're not talking about the trade. You're trying to figure out what vehicle that they're interested in. Maybe they're not interested in a vehicle. Have you seen dealerships improve? And do you have any best practices, which you sort of touched on there a few minutes ago? Dealerships really need to, read the trade and lead information. What data should you have in front of you, and how should you respond back to the customer?
Right. And so I will analogize first, and then I'll give you some data, because I absolutely do have that. But if and I always analogize about buying or selling a house. So let's assume you're going to establish a relationship with a realtor, and if that realtor tells you, hey Jeff, what are you looking to buy? What are you looking to buy? When can you come in here and buy it? So on and so forth. They're ignoring the fact that, Jeff, are you a current homeowner? Tell me more about your current house. What do you like about your current house? Not like, why are you moving houses? What you own today and what you own tomorrow, can be correlated. And if I understand this information, I can help you in that kind of journey. So apply that to cars, of course. What do you own today? How do you use it? What's changed? Let me tell you more about that car. Here's the ones that we have. What do you need in the future? So that's kind of tied into best practices. I always think about, really, as an agent, that's a BDC rep, that's a sales rep at a dealership. They're agencies, they're agents, and they're trying to, marry a customer to a vehicle. So back to your question, here's some interesting stats. So when we came on the market 5 years ago, trade leads were frankly not talked about much. I talked to a really good friend of mine one time, Jeff, that I talked about this idea that I had, and they said, the last thing the dealership world needs is another trade.
That's what I said.
And that was 6 years ago, almost to the date.
It wasn't personal.
I appreciate your I quit my job, by the way, Jeff. I was just looking for a little bit.
Shit all over your parade that day, didn't I?
It hurt. I still talk to you 2 years later.
Yeah, but we had a follow-up discussion when we were talking about APIs and being able to bleed it into other programs and all that good stuff.
I've known you 15 years. You've always had good advice, and you questioned it appropriately because, by most people's experience, trade leads were just kind of a very, very low volume lead. They were very difficult to use, certainly on a mobile.
Or high volume, low closing ratio.
Or that, perhaps, if you're looking at major, kind of buying center approaches or something like that of sorts.
Where you got the trade-in link on every navigation, 5 times on the VDP, the SRP.
You can take over the page. We've never done what we've done. So what we did do, and what we learned after probably close to 4,000 implementations, is that through simple, clean integration, good usability, good UX, and by the way, something different to show a consumer, like that market report. Not only did volume go up, for dealers, but quality went up, and the need for better trade process, which we've tried to train. So the stat I'll throw out there is the first full month of COVID in April. We reached out. One of our biggest groups reached out to us, and they always report on different partners and what they do. And they said, okay, so the first time, maybe we were installed, not in every store, but call it 60% of their stores. We were the second largest source of leads for the entire organization. I think third-party leads dried up, and there were some major factors going with that. But we were the number one source of attributable sales. And that's a dealer group that's been with us with many stores for years. So to your game, they have improved their trade process. They have people that help influence the trade process. And we try to make sure that our tool, kind of delivers. Sometimes we customize it for them to be able to give them, what they need. So dealers can succeed with trade leads. Period. They just recognize it's a different question. I didn't ask you value your trade and tell me the one car you want. I gave you the option to find out what your car may be worth and ask you for your information so I can call you and talk to you about your car.
And of course, you guys provide. I know when the lead comes in, because obviously we use your product, but when the lead comes in, the salesperson can click on the link and it actually brings up all that information. So I've tried to train the people here to look at that. This is what the customer sees. There's a ton of valuable information right there. You should figure out how to get your superlatives on those on your trade-in.
You mean show it to you?
That way salespeople can look, and get that visual rather than having to decipher or VIN the code or figure out, what else is on that vehicle.
Well, I think that's a really good idea, by the way. So
I won't charge you for it.
Let's take a look at what that.
Just send me another T-shirt.
All right.
All right, we're seeing it.
Yeah, this is your site right here, right? So every lead has always come with a link to the market report. So here's all your leads. It looks like Joe Lally came in 7 hours ago, by the way.
He did.
So Joe's got a 16 Chrysler 300. You got Samuel Rao with a 19 Odyssey. This one looks kind of interesting. Now let's look at this one. Here's a Cadillac Escalade. So this is a little preview of where we envision a great little feature enhancement where we're actually taking that trade lead, which here's the report. This is the report the consumer looked at. This is what your BDC reps have access to, right? They can figure out a talk track. You got an Escalade, this many within that many miles. Looks like he's got fairly average miles. This car sells on average in
a good car for the lot.
40 days. Absolutely, every car is a good car for the lot. But we're also trying to put in more market context about that trade. So this is combining superlatives with a trade lead. So this car has average mileage, or I'm sorry, this guy didn't actually confirm his mileage. Supply is actually down over time. Demand is actually up. More being sold in the last month than previous months. Oh, by the way, it's a very popular trim. It's made in America, and it has all the awards. Here's all the other cars like it. So, hey, Jeff, you may not have known that's the best luxury large SUV by U.S. News in 2016. That's why I want to own it. The more product knowledge you have, the better off you're going to be able to position to be able to buy it. And these are the same facts that we have, for instance.
Made in America.
Made in America. This trim, 56% is sold in the last 3 months. So we are looking for a select few customers to start testing this with us in the next month or two. But, it really is all about trying to get the BDC rep in great position to be able to talk about, cars.
No, I like it. That encourages me. I need to go back and probably do
that's a good idea, Jeff. Let's do it.
a new training. I need to update my training here at the dealership. Make sure they're going through this as thoroughly as they should. Though we've done pretty well. We've actually done pretty well with our trade-in leads, or trade-pending trade-in leads. I was just looking at my driven data dashboard, and it was going through, and we've just 11% overall closing ratio.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. You could probably do a little bit better. And 20-minute training goes a long way. Just reminds folks on a couple of best practices. So we're here to help. Reach out to me. I'll do it myself.
I may take advantage of that.
Please do, man.
Something else that always disturbs me, though, whenever you're looking at, especially within your CRM or any type of dashboard that's, I guess, tracking your lead sources and such. And I would manually do this if we do some type of buyback purchase, campaign, rather than just looking at, the lead conversion, what you made on that sale. I would roll it back and go, okay, what did we do with that car? Did we wholesale it? And if so, did we make any money on wholesale? We turned that car back onto the lot. We retailed it. What was our gross retail on that vehicle? And I don't find there's no report. You have to go through and manually do that. Have you ever considered some type of way? I don't know if you'd.
We have, because we do preach. I mean, there's multiple profit centers when you talk about trade, right? The CRM tells you, like you just calculated, you sold 11 cars from those leads, or I'm sorry, 11% of those leads a vehicle. Well, how many of those cars did you buy? And how many of those cars did you sell?
Exactly.
What did that do if you're back in? And so
exactly.
I would contend that a trade lead is more valuable than a new car lead or a used car lead. And
can be.
We don't have that reporting. We don't look at DMS data to figure all that out. We should. I wonder if there's a CRM company that's even started to piece all that together. Isn't that like, the life of an asset as it moves through your store?
You mean like the ultimate CRM or something?
I mean, there's not that much to track, right?
Alex has got to talk to about that. He's Mr. CRM. He already built one.
You
I
buy.
don't
I don't know
the
what
service
you're
car.
referring
Show
to.
me what happens to a car over the life of a car in your dealership. Go ahead, Alex. Do it.
I was more paying attention to this conversation between Ryan Everson and David here. Trying to keep up with the comments.
Are you throwing the comments up on the screen?
They're popping up there. You guys probably can't see them because you're just looking at
we
Skype.
can't.
But
Sucks.
I can't see. Is that David Lowitz? Who's
it is,
David?
yes. He was.
I knew he was going to steal my thunder today.
Yeah, Ryan Everson. That is. Let me pop this back on the screen. He was asking what strategy converts website traffic into a trade lead better. Trade in by VIN, license plate, or year, make, model trim. And David did answer. He said, "Look, most people don't know their, what their plate or VIN is." So
I'd invite anybody to go to Drive and Be, find the TradePending tool snap.
Don't send people to my website.
All right, go there. Contact me. I'll go to someplace. Don't go to his. Email me, and I'll send you a link that's not a website, and
You'll send them the link to my website.
Go to our blog, and we'll show you side-by-side comparison of what happens. And it's a good question, though, Ryan, because that's what you should be thinking about when you're testing, your own pads conversion. But on browser, it's type ahead, just like you do when you Google things. And on mobile, it is not type ahead. That's one big, confusing point. I give all my competitors a little bit of tip. Stop using type ahead on mobile, especially when I'm doing a 2016 Chevrolet Tahoe XLT 4x4 Denali. How am I going to do all that? I ain't typing all that. So instead, I'll show you our experience on mobile, which is simple enough. It's just thumb taps. Boom, boom, boom. Gets through the process. No, VIN will never work. No one knows their VIN. No one will ever know their VIN. Anybody can lie to you and say, yeah, it's good, though. You need VIN. You need VIN when you put ACV and write a check for that car.
There was a vendor out there a couple years back. I thought it was a neat initiative, but I knew it probably wouldn't work out. It would encourage the customer to download an actual app. And within that app, they could walk out to the car, they could scan their VIN, fill in the blanks, take their photos, hit send. It would automatically send it to the dealership app that had all the vehicle trade-in information.
If I called you,
concept,
if I called you and asked
people downloading an app just to do something like that.
Well, so let's scenario play. Jeff, I call you. Hey, Jeff, man, my name's Brice. I got a car to sell to you. What would you ask?
I already hung up on you. Repeat that. Sorry.
Hey, Jeff, I got a car to sell you. What would you pay for it? What would you ask?
Bring it in. I can see it in person.
You may ask, what kind of car is it?
Or that too. What do you have?
You probably wouldn't start the conversation with what's your VIN.
No. I wouldn't expect them to know the answer.
And I assume, and I would too, I'd try to identify what the kind of car it is before I said come on in, because maybe it's just not something that's going to fit your time at all. But
I always ask if they've gotten a trade value from somewhere else, which is probably the worst question you can ask.
You like to shorten your day.
Yeah.
There's another good question here. Let's see if I can find it again from Dan Sayer. He's wondering if the word trade is even worth saying to a customer. The customer language, I need to sell my car, or do I need to trade my car? Yeah.
Yep. So we've A/B tested those things, and actually, all of our products, Snap and Superlatives, can be fully customizable to dealership websites. And so we do have some dealerships that feel that their market and their strategy fits better, sell us your car versus value your trade. We have A/B tested all of those, and they actually don't pencil out materially differently at all.
Really, I would think sell us your trade would maybe cut down on just the consumer that just wants to know the value of their trade. I mean, you still get those no matter what. I mean, we get a fair share of trade leads, and we can work them, the absolute right way. But no, I was just happened to come across your website and just was wondering what my vehicle was worth, or they just purchased the vehicle 6-7 months ago, and for whatever reason they want to figure out the trade value on it already.
Ouch. Right. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But Dan's got a follow-up. That was kind of interesting. So would you be able to tell, or have you looked at people who put in rough mileages versus exact mileages?
Good question. So we don't require mileage to be entered before someone sees a market report.
Use average.
And the effect of that, technically we use the median, which is 50% in the middle. And the effect of that, though, when we do a call out and ask consumers to confirm your mileage, is that the consumer is actually positioning themselves in the market. So the dot moves down the line if it's a high mileage vehicle or a low mileage vehicle. Everybody thinks their car is worth more than it is, but let's face it, it's worth more to me as a dealer, usually with the fewer miles it has. So even though we don't ask for mileage as a required field, about 80% of our leads confirm their mileage. And I think a lot of that is just UX design and just simple little testing. And I think it also means that, a lot of times too, we're close enough on the median, oftentimes, depending upon the vehicle, that the consumer says, this says 15,785. That's close enough to 16,000 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that might be worth pointing out. So there's actually a conversation before the show with part of my team. We were talking about the differences between TradePending and KBB and Black Book as a website form. And a lot of those, in some of their implementations, they're iframes inside of the dealer's website.
Yeah.
So the website company or the digital retailing solution, whatever it is, has zero control over what it looks like, feels like, or even the data pieces that get entered or come out. So with TradePending, that's a totally different story. It's a more modern technology. It's more open. And go ahead, Brice.
It's pure HTML, which the advantage to that, and every single plugin you put on your website should be sending events to GA. Good friend of mine, George Nenny, I think he was on the show at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Love George.
I think one reason he likes this is because we share every event and every action that we see on our product into the dealership's GA, so he can understand what's working, where a consumer's going. If I'm paying money for digital ads to drive traffic, what calls to action are those folks converting from, so you can get a full picture of quality, and traffic, things like that. And crazy enough, we started doing that almost 5 years ago, and there's still vendors that don't do it. And I think your point, though, Alex, it's just that old, they can't do it, or they're not listening to the customers well enough. But it's a big deal, especially in the digital retailing game, right?
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Just because you want to have a digital retailing tool doesn't mean you want to give up insights on what happens on your website, right?
Well,
do you have any dealerships where the used car sales manager or whoever's typically the one that appraises the vehicles, do you have any dealerships where that used car sales manager is super involved with the trade-in leads?
We definitely do. So I think on two fronts. One, is just quality control on what his BDC does or doesn't do, right? So give me a weekly report as a good used car manager, and I can see what came through, and I can see, what appointments have been set. And if there's a particular vehicle that I know that I need, that I can sell, then I can repeat that up. I could follow up myself. I could have someone on my staff follow up. But that's a very simple strategy, and used car managers usually don't look at that each and every week. If you do, you'll do better as a used car manager. It's a simple email. You browse it, you delete it, or you say, let's call this guy again and see if we can't get that truck or whatever it is.
If I was a used car manager, what I would want is as soon as someone filled out the trade-in lead, it'd be awesome to get a text message with the customer's information and a link to the TradePending report.
Yeah.
Because they're all on their phone all the time. They're all using Carfax Mobile. They're using CRM Mobile, whatever it may be, to get a quick text message with all that information. That was something that I used to do, or at least try to do, is have the used car manager CC'd, copied on all the used car leads that come in. Because, you just went down our list and, there's 3 or 4 cars there. It's like, that's a car you'd like to have on your site. And if you're a progressive used car manager, it's praising cars. What a great opportunity to look at that real quick and go, okay, who got this lead? John got the lead. Hey, you just got a lead in on, 2015 Cadillac. We need a Cadillac. We need that car on the lot. Seriously need it, especially right now with everything that's going on.
No doubt.
Be able to jump on that quick. If you're a real good used car manager, maybe you're the one that calls the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this used car manager, and I'm the one that does all the appraisals here, and I see that you own this, and you're looking to get rid of it. Start a conversation.
Right.
How impressive would that be?
It's a requirement already. There you go.
Damn, that's the 3rd one today.
Keep them coming, Jeff.
I need shorts.
We do have the
ending underwear.
Hey Brice, who can get it to him first, you or me?
Yeah, exactly.
The race is on now, buddy.
It's really good. It's a good point. We do have the ability to be able to include via email any lead, which we do have some UCMs that want to get email notifications. Text is really simple to do. We just haven't had that request often enough that I know of. It's a good idea, though.
There's your first request for it. Happy to help.
Oh, and Chris, come on now. He says, come on, Jeff. We all know that ain't going to happen. All right. So the challenge is getting deeper here, Brice. Let's.
Where's Chris? Who's Chris with?
Chris K. Leslie.
Which dealers is he with?
Damn it! Why do I always forget that?
He's out in Nevada.
He's in Vegas or outside of Vegas.
Right. Chris, I demonstrate that feature to you on Monday when you become a customer.
It's Lexus dealership.
I can't see the chat, so you got to transpose for me.
I think Chris is with a Lexus dealership, right?
Chris was with the. Damn it! I'm. My brain power is not so good. It is Friday.
So we shouldn't do refresh Friday on Friday.
Just do refresh Tuesday.
I know I'd be more fresh.
Yeah, no refresh Tuesday at 5 a.m.
No.
All right. Well, there's another good question here from Rick Buffkin about abandonment rates. Have they gotten better on trade-in forms since COVID?
Good question. So let's take a look. Let me see here. So we measure abandonment and conversion for every store. We roll that up in what we call global analytics. So let me show my screen real quick just to answer that data with actual data. Yep. Did I do that right?
You're up.
Looks like it.
Okay. So my screen's slightly offset. All right. So here's our box. This box is a little bit misleading, by the way. There's a little bot traffic. Here's total leads from Snap, just our trade-in tool. So those are those increases that I was showing on the blog. These are leads by device. So if you look at any given month, by the way, the month of June, 74% of our leads came from people on a phone. So stop demoing stuff on a desktop. We do it too. It's like the first thing we demo is desktop. But it's 74% came from a phone, which is a big strategic advantage of ours. So then if you look at form conversion rates, which is what the question was, you can see we've always held pretty darn steady at about 24% universally. That picked up to 26.2%. That 2.6% is 10% more, 10 percentage points more likely that a consumer was willing to share their information with the same exact form, which, by the way, that form was served up a lot of times. Call it 800,000.
Form views, it's your orange one.
Yeah, something like that. So it has come a little bit back down, to normal, according to our global analytics. But a lot of that depends on longevity of our customers. Sometimes I do see as customers stay with us more, consumers are more familiar with the report that they want. And guess what happens then? Then they are more likely to continue to share their information. And other factors, once again, how are you, seasoning your traffic to do certain things? Are you doing campaigning? We've seen a lot of campaigning the last few months on buying cars, which we can set up entirely separate landing pages.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can you set up like a separate landing page just for those particular campaigns? I figured you could.
It's a support ticket away. It takes us literally just a few minutes to get it done. But that's when we see the terminology marrying correctly. So if you are advertising on Facebook, like, $500 over, market, or, some other type of, we need to buy used cars today. That's the title of the landing page, right? It's the ad, it's the environment, it's the conversion, and the consistency can result in very high conversion.
Is there any particular campaigns that you find do have the I guess maybe the highest conversion or closing ratio?
Well,
is it mostly just the leads from the website, or if someone runs a campaign, what type of results do you see? Is that a mail-in campaign, social campaign? What have you seen out there?
So it's interesting. We've had some customers do vanity sites of sorts, of which most of the time, if you're already an existing TradePending customer, we don't charge for vanity sites. For instance, valuemytrade.ca, I'll use an international one. Hopefully my friend up in Canada is not going to call me out on it, but we've stood up valuemycar.ca for 3 years. And they do campaigning to it, so traffic goes up and down, but the only campaigning that they've ever done is actually direct mail. So they do not use digital advertising for that. Hold on a second. And what's interesting with valuemycar.ca is that when they do run direct mail campaigns, the conversion, keep in mind that the consumers are they're not clicking on the postcard here, right? The conversion rates just on that site average about 16-17%. So nearly 1 out of 5 people that go to the site are actually converting as a lead. And then further down, the funnel, what percent of those are actually turned into trades? I think it averages about our normal, call it 15-16%. And then you've got some U.S. things that we have experimented with, and I won't mention the URL for my dear friend and customer, but that is an example of a site that is only driven traffic to from traditional advertising. And I'm going to pull it up.
So would you recommend a dealership always have maybe a vanity site or a landing page?
Depends on your market. It depends on your market.
Keep type of campaign and rotation. Have you seen any success with people running any type of social campaigns and directing the customer to the trade piece?
100%. And frankly, you're finally advertising something a little different than maybe normal. So seasonal trade campaigns, I'm not saying do it all the time. There's the little stuff, like tying together a link to your value your trade link on all of your service reminder emails. It's down to the bottom, it's secondary, but it keeps a nice little steady flow. But then with the campaigning, when do you need cars? Jeff, when you're going to need cars. Traditionally, now you need them. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But the group I was thinking of in the middle of America, they have pretty dominant little group of 8 stores, and so they choose to do traditional advertising with that, and they drive a ton of traffic and get hundreds of leads just from their vanity site. But they can push those out to the different dealerships, and it really works for them. And
I know if I was part of a group or owned a group, that's something I would go after.
Why
I would
wouldn't you?
definitely have some type of vanity site, run campaigns, social, maybe, snail mail, whatever it may be, and have those go to a central location, have those go to a buyer or used car sales manager. And now you've got, a shit ton of leads for, maybe you're a group of 5 or 6 dealerships.
Vehicle acquisition is very complex. It's very hard, never been harder today. And so, that's not going away, by the way. Carvana's only getting smarter. They're only getting stronger. Dealers on average sourced 70% of their used vehicles they sell from trade. Carvana a year ago reported that was a strategic opportunity for them because they were sitting at like 8% of the cars they sourced came from consumer-owned vehicles. So when Carvana's getting 50% of their cars, or 60, or more than 8%, whose cost is that? Where are those cars coming from? They're coming from the opportunity cost for the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's certainly important to pay attention to that for the remainder of this year. Get good at trades, try some campaigns. We are very easy to work with. We don't do the ad campaigns. Stick with your normal advertiser. We have plenty of examples, but give it a try.
And speaking of giving it a try, Chris Leslie is a TradePending client. So, yep.
Who isn't?
Will you buy superlatives if I can give you that text feature on Monday?
There you go, Chris. And then the challenge got deeper as Ryan Everson says he can do it today with Snap API and Twilio. So,
right.
Yeah, there you go. That would work.
That's exactly how we would do it, Ryan.
Yeah.
We would use the same.
How are dealerships utilizing your superlatives, and have you found that, are you tracking which ones get the most engagement, or what are people mostly looking for right now? I know it's probably about a little over a year ago we had Car Story Chad over there, and he had some pretty good stats behind that. What were people looking at? It might have been 2 years. What were the top features that consumers were looking for at this moment? How do you take into consideration what superlatives you're going to show?
It's a good question. So superlatives is a little bit different than other kind of merchandising solutions, that have come out, in prior years. We strongly feel like, we're not here to then explode and puke all over you, with the same information on the website, but can we use data science and our comparative, positioning to create, kind of what's unique about this car? What's the one fact?
So you don't have superlatives for, rear view, or I should, wind up windows or electric windows, all that generic stuff.
No. Instead, we focus superlatives on things like, mileage comparison, verified low mileage. This car's got 12,000 fewer miles than the other ones in the market today. That's why it's worth something different. We talk about supply and demand factors down to the trim level or engine type and things like that. And so if we notice that, hey, that F-150 Raptor sells on average in about 6 days, and it's the most popular engine type of any F-150, that's what we call out, because otherwise it's kind of buried in the comments if there's a really clever used car manager. So all in all, we have about 50 market-driven superlatives that are based on supply and demand and popularity. We shake those up depending upon the page that we're on and show variety on the page. And then with a simple engagement, consumers can look at other superlatives quite easily. So what we know from superlatives, and once again, if you go to our blog, it's actually not necessarily about the one superlative that consumers like or dislike. It's the fact that we're creating an audience on the dealership's website. And if you look at the June 18th post, we talk about delivering 2 to 3 times the website engagement. So as that blog kind of details, what we're looking at through the help of other consultants, by the way, that collect this data for us, is if I get a shopper on my website, how can I engage them to look at more pages, more cars, stay on the site longer, click on more superlatives, and frankly, build a relationship virtually with them. And then once we engage with them to be able to get that appointment, they're ready to go. So if you look at that blog, it gives you all the stats. I won't bore your audience by reading it out, but that's TradePending.com, resources, blog, and it actually is the most recent blog post that we have.
Yeah, you didn't share that on DealerRefresh. Way to go!
No, all right.
Maybe somebody from the TradePending team can actually throw the link to it. There we go. Thanks, David.
Thank you, David Lawrence.
Perfect. That way, if somebody's ever watching this like 2 years from now.
Some dealers want to highlight certain things, Jeff. So we do have like what we call custom superlatives. And during COVID times, we were merchandising a lot of available for at-home delivery.
Oh, okay.
We had tying videos describing that process to consumers. And so, frankly, we were able to deliver that better than the website company, which can be kind of a head scratcher. But we have dealers who do monthly updates to superlatives, based on, let's say, incentives and rebates. It's not really kind of the core part of it, but they have 15 Jeep Cherokees on their lot. You get $500 extra trade-in cash. That may be the thing that you want to highlight, merchandise front and center right below that vehicle.
I may have to call you next week or week after I get back from vacation. I need to, you need to reintroduce me to, because just looking at it, it looks like you've come a long way with this since the last time I really looked at them.
Thank you. We're 18 months in the market with superlatives, and I think anybody that's ever done this or known a young vendor, the second year for those products is always just an immense opportunity to continue to improve it, because now you've got some customers. Superlatives, we've got about 600 customers now, and we listen to them, and it gets better every month. So
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look at it again.
I like it.
By the way, Rick Buffkin says you need to share those blog posts to DealerRefresh.
Yeah. So who's not on here today is our new VP of Marketing, Matthew Davis, and he is responsible.
I got Matthew's email.
Yeah, he's a big fan already. He's learned a lot because he's actually new to the automotive industry. He's been with us about 9 months total, but full time for just the last 4 months or so.
Yeah, I spoke with him, I think, day 2 or 3 of his position there.
He's like, I need to learn something. I said, well, you got to call this guy. He'll tell you somebody else to call.
Oh,
Go
good
to
guy.
DealerRefresh, which is wonderful. I mean, how many years of content do you guys have now on DealerRefresh?
15.
15.
It's like an anthology of
Almost as long as we've known each other.
dealer stuff. It's great, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all maintaining it too, because it's no small effort. I know that.
No, it's Alex and I were just talking about yesterday. It's hard to believe it's been 15 years, and to know that there's 15 years of content. The sad part is a lot of it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like SES driven.
It definitely helps with our SEO.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Do you have a succession plan in place here, guys? I mean, is it going to be like Jeff's daughter and Alex's son running this thing in 10 years? What's going on?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. My family tried to keep me out of the car business. See how well that worked.
Yeah. No.
Well, you never know, Brice. Maybe it's one of yours.
Yeah, you don't want that. But my daughter can catch fish. She was 50 miles offshore, caught a mahi-mahi two weeks ago that I still talk about once an hour. She's 15 now. So.
Yeah, my son turned 17. Ugh. Hard to believe.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Brice, it's always a pleasure, man. Love the fact of what you're doing. It's for all of us, it's been great to see what you've been doing with TradePending and just watch the company grow. You and I think we met. You were back. You're the one that turned me on to Prime with the Minion back in the day.
Best product.
You were Mr. Reputation Management back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just we were still using them up until I'd say 4 or 5 months ago.
Is that right? How about that? That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, It was awesome until it wasn't.
May want to start pleading the fifth now, Jeff.
Well, it was. I love bringing new product to this industry. There's so many good problems to solve. Good creative people trying to solve them. I'm excited to see all the new stuff that's coming online too. Like watch out for Alex over there. Maybe your next spin. But it's good to serve this industry, and we've got a couple more tricks up our sleeve at TradePending, so we won't stop.
So we're not going to talk about that CRM we're building?
Oh, don't do that.
Jeff is
no.
Yeah.
No parts of it.
DealerRefresh CRM?
No parts of it. Never happened.
Requirements.
Never happened. Oh. Never happened. So, hey, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, Brice, how are they going to go about it?
Brice at TradePending.com. If you forget that, it's BRICE. You can just go to the website.
Are you going to be speaking at any upcoming conferences?
We're having a tough time figuring out what to do, Jeff, to be honest. So now, we do have Innovative Dealer Summit in Colorado planned.
Okay.
Yours, Joe Dallas will be there at a minimum. We'll see if
when's that?
That's in September.
Okay.
In Colorado. Great site. And we're trying to figure out what to do with the other conferences at all.
You got a lot of vendors out there that aren't going to be spending money at these conferences, but DealerRefresh does have some ad space. He's put your name out there one way or another.
I think we got a mutual.
You have the budget for it.
When you're back,
do some upgrades.
When you're back from vacation, call me. I'll give you a great rate on superlatives, and ask the same on DR.
By the way, while we're talking about conferences, it would be amiss if we didn't bring up the one that's going on next week. Brian Pash's, DMSC. So many of the people commenting on the show today are speaking in it, and that's an interesting one because it's all virtual. And I believe if you sign up for it, you'll have access to everything for a month.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's nice. You go in and you can ask the questions live on the dates of the live event piece, which start, I believe, Monday. And then you'll always have access to go back and watch it again or share it with somebody nearby, so you can turn your computer. You can't just send something out.
Yeah.
I'm actually disappointed we're not participating in that, and everybody's had their heads down trying to just figure out what to do in the next day, next week, or whatever it is. But I really hope Pash is successful and this kind of format works for everybody. So anyhow, if anybody knows Pash, I don't know his number. I'm joking, but maybe we'll do a guest appearance if you haven't.
Well, I do know that Digital Dealer is watching this diligently to see how it works. So I know they are planning the fall conference still to happen in person in Vegas. But this has been an interesting conversation with them of late to talk about whether this works or not.
Give some kudos for Pash for doing this first, by the way. I mean, I really do salute them for that. And I hope dealers show up. Because if the dealers show up and enjoy the format, guess who's going to come?
Mm-hmm.
So the dealers, I hope, do support all this stuff.
You know what? We should probably have Pash on the show after it goes down just to get some feedback and how it all came together.
It's a great idea. I look forward to joining you. Can I get a third?
I can guarantee he won't tell you that it went poorly.
Well, I know that. But maybe we could ask the right questions and get some good feedback. I don't know. You said exactly what I was thinking.
But yeah, we'll definitely have him on.
All right, gentlemen. Brice, again, thanks so much. Congratulations on everything, and let's catch up soon.
Jeff, thanks, buddy. Enjoy your vacation. Alex,
thanks, Brice. Talk soon.